If you're a fan of the Dune books, Foundation should be on your TBR. I'm just going to tell you right now. If you love the classic epic scale of Dune and the concept of an empire and humanity having expanded out into solar systems and galaxies, Foundation has a completely different perspective on what the future of humanity could look like, but within that same type of construct. Both series are focused on societies in the shadows that essentially play roles into the larger political schemes surrounding them. For Dune, that is the Bene Gesserit, and in Foundation, it is the so-called Foundation that exists on the planet of Terminus. In Dune, religion as a political tool is pretty much the central theme, and essentially using religion as a tool to achieve the Bene Gesserit's goals is kind of what happens throughout a lot of the books in a lot of different ways across a lot of different eras. And in Foundation, the so called Foundation is based on psychohistory, which is essentially mathematical simulations that can predict what might happen for humanity in the future, and using the psychohistory to essentially provide the best path forward for humanity through the predicted fall of the Galactic Empire. If you've read Dune, you'll notice from the description of psychohistory that essentially what the Foundation aims to do is, in some ways, similar on a basis to the Golden Path, but the story differs in a number of different ways. And I think that's one of the most interesting things about reading it if you've already read Dune. And I think vice versa, if you've read Foundation, then also picking up Dune would have that effect. In terms of the writing styles, I will say ahead of time, Herbert and Asimov differ pretty drastically. I feel like Herbert relies a lot on prose and lengthy descriptions and internal monologues from characters to give us information about what's happening and insight into different subplots that are also occurring. Whereas I feel like Asimov leans heavily into concise descriptions, almost scientific and clinical at times, of things that are occurring. And so I think going in knowing that the prose is going to be quite different helps to frame it so that you can enjoy what's going on in the series, because they both have a lot to offer. They're just constructed in vastly different ways. Both take place across large spans of time. However, Dune's 4,500-year time skip is much larger than Foundation's several centuries. However, with that similarity, though, you can expect different characters within different books. So your cast kind of rotates throughout. And I would say not to focus on getting attached to certain characters, rather getting attached to certain plot points and sort of goals that the Foundation has is the most important thing I can recommend.